Hi everyone, and welcome to lesson 2 of chapter 1, which is all about tracking. So last week I showed you how to set up your Google Analytics accounts, just with some really important configuration. And this week what I want to show you is how to set up your Google Tag Manager. So once you run your analytics via Google Tag Manager, you'll have a lot more freedom of making changes on your website without having to change the code yourself. And you'll have less actual code on your website, which will speed it up. So let's just get straight into it. So if you start, also I forgot to mention last time, but so this website you can see in front of you, I've created this site specifically for the purpose of these videos. So as I go through, we'll be adding things to this, so you can see it all live in action, how to make small changes yourself. Okay, so if we head over to analytics, you'll probably still be logged in from last time, so it's fine. Just always be aware of which account it is that you're actually working on. So you can see up here, I've got the Google, the demo site activated. So the first thing I'm going to do before I go to Tag Manager is there's one more setting that I didn't show you last time that's actually really quite important as well. So if we just head over to this Add Settings button, and then down from your property settings, you'll see audience definitions. Click on audiences, and it will automatically default to all website data there. So you can change that if you want to use a different source, but I would recommend doing that. And then just enable remarketing here. Obviously, we should all know what remarketing is, and if you don't, just very quickly, it's what allows us to, for example, invite users to our website, say they look at our product or service, but they don't convert, so they don't fill in the form or they don't check out. We can then revisit those people specifically, with for example, display ads to remind them about what they were going to purchase but didn't. So yeah, it's obviously really important to have that, because on average someone has to see something 7 times before they actually convert. I can't remember the actual source of that data, but it's fairly recent and it's very accurate. And yeah, then just click on the one you want to include, which is the same as this you have up here. Okay, enable. Okay, so now we've got the retargeting set up. Let's just head straight into Google Tag Manager. So you can get there from this drop-down menu here, and then see this icon, Tag Manager. Head over here. The chances are you won't actually see anything here, so we'll just go down to the accounts page where you can create your new one. So here we are, create a new account here. It's very simple, so we'll just call it demo site. I'll do United Kingdom. I always tick this box. A lot of people don't like the idea of it because of sharing data, but actually what it does is it helps Google to be more accurate. So if you want to do research on trends, on what people are searching for, on how people are searching for your product or service, or what common related queries are coming up, that are close to that subject, it just makes it look a lot more accurate for Google. So it's always worth doing. There's no private data shared there at all, so there's nothing to worry about. And then, yeah, we just get rid of that HTTP. Done. It's a web container, and mark it as well. And create. So, yep, I agree. So you've got your container set up now. Just take a moment to go through there. And the first thing we're going to do, the first thing we need to do is install it. So the easiest way, you just need to send this to your developer. If you manage your website yourself, there are plugins you can install that allow you to insert these codes that do make it quite simple. In fact, I'll show you now, just very quickly. So if you head over into your dashboard, and if you just go and add new plugin, and then just search the word injection, because what we're doing is we're injecting this PHP code into, and then you can install something like this. So it's really easy. It says header, insert here, after body tag, insert here, footer, and it sounds confusing. It really does, I know, but it's not, because it shows you here. So this one goes in the head, and this one goes in the body. So, but what I'm actually going to do, because I prefer not to have too many plugins, because like I said, it does slow down things. I'm just going to insert it here into the actual child file. So just put the head there before the closing head, and just put this here in the body. Save that and straight away. And the other thing is, if you are going to ask your developer to do it for you, just make sure you ask them to remove any existing Google code from there, because if you don't, then it's going to be duplicated and you might be getting twice as many hits, and your stats aren't going to be right. Okay, so we're going to go down to the variables first, because by default Google Tag Manager just lets you look at a few sort of like basic functions, but we want to do a bit more. We want to be able to look at what people are clicking on, for example. So built-in variables, configure, and then I like to include all click elements, and all form elements, because like I said, we want to know if people have, for example, clicked on a form, if they've performed a certain action but haven't but haven't followed up on it, or haven't completed it, haven't converted. So that's the whole point of this. It's so that we can track and we can retarget and we can turn those leads into actual customers. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a basic tag that sends a message to Google every time someone views one of your pages. So we're going to call it GA for Google Analytics, page view all. Really simple. So Google Analytics, page view, and then here's where we actually set up the Google. So you'll only have to do this bit once because it's going to save it from then on. So if you made note of your tracking ID last time, you can just paste it in there. If you didn't, just go back, property settings, and then here's your tracking ID. So tracking ID is done, and we'll save this as Google Analytics, and then your tracking ID, because again, if you have many different tracking IDs, then you want to be able to know if you're working on the right one. Okay, so that's saved, and then trigger. So trigger means the action that's taken that makes this tag actually happen. So the triggers, so when someone actually looks at a page, this triggers something, and the tag is the message it sends to Google to actually show up on your reports that that's what's happened. I hope that makes sense, but if not, then you've got all my contact details at the bottom. Feel free to get in touch with any questions, as always. So there's another type of tag you could do, or we'll start with the trigger actually, because this trigger, the page view trigger, was automatic based on adding Google to it. So this time I want us to track when people click on things. So we'll add a new trigger, and we'll call this clicks all. So everything that gets clicked on your site, they're looking at this. It's not necessarily going to send a message to Google, but it's going to record it. So as long as you set up a tag for what you want it to show, then you'll be able to track that. So I'm going to choose all elements. This means it will include buttons as well as just links. So that's saved, and then the tags to go with it, I'm going to do, so on this demo site, for example, I've got this button here, visit YouTube channel. So I want to look at how many people click on this button to go to my YouTube channel from here. So we add a new tag. We'll call it YouTube clicks. Tag configuration. We use the Google Analytics platform again, because we're basically normally going to be doing this, but this time instead of page view, it's going to be an event. So because we're interested in events, so the category, I'm just going to put client action, if I can spell today, client action, click, and then the label, I'm not going to give it a name specifically, because actually, yeah, there's a way we can actually shorten this a lot. So if I choose a variable here, it means it's going to automatically bring in something for me. So if I just choose, I could choose, for example, click URL, and the way it would show me what happens in Google is it would show like www.youtube.com/my channel address, or even easier, we should have click text. Yeah, click text, let's choose that one. So I'm actually going to change that as well to all clicks. So I hope I'm not losing you here. So basically, it's going to send a message on all clicks, but then the way it shows in the report, it's going to show us what the text said. So for example, if someone clicks on this here, Casey Marketing Creations Home or Portfolio, it would also show as an event, a click in my stats, but it would show that text, or or this text, or one of these. So it's just really handy for like being able to track exactly what's going on there. And then for the trigger, we choose the trigger we just made, which is clicks. Oh, save. Okay, so these changes that we've just made, they're not actually yet published. It gives you a chance to do all your testing first, so that you don't have, like, for example, multiple versions of things. Excuse me. And so that you're not like publishing live changes that could, you know, be giving you. Oh, apologies, I didn't add the Google. So you just make sure you add that Google setting there. Yes, just make sure you're not getting false data on your site. You know, make sure everything's running properly. So the way to do this is head back over to your workspace, and then click on preview. And then now when I go back to the site, if I refresh, you'll see a new box appear. And I also want to add a Chrome add-on. So first of all, I'll show you this. So straight away, Google Analytics, page view, all has happened. This has not happened because I've not clicked on anything. So if I do actually test this and click on here, we can now see here on the left, this has been fired. And that hasn't been fired because it's a different action. See, all of these are different actions that are happening on the page. So what you can have a look at the variables here, and then scroll down and see click text, visit YouTube channel. So that's how it's going to show on my Google Analytics, and we can check that in just a second. And I just want to show you one other thing. If you type in tag assistant, this is a really handy tool which shows you if you've installed your tag correctly. It's an extension for your Chrome, so make sure you're using Chrome. It's always good practice to use Chrome anyway. Add to Chrome, checking, yep, add extension. And there you go, here it is. So I go back to this page and I click here. So click done, because it just allows it, and then hit enable. And then if we just refresh this page one more time, we should see our new tracking appear here. There we go, you've got two there. You've got Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, which shows that it's all installed, it's all going through to Google, we're all set to go there. So I'm just going to try this test one more time. So if we click visit YouTube channel, now we can actually see if this has worked in Google straight away. So head straight up here, you see real time. Head over to real time, we'll go down to events because that's what we're interested in. And then we should be able to see that an event just happened on our website. There you go, client action, click, and there you go. You can see them, they've all come through. So there you go. I didn't want to like confuse you too much in this video because I know it's a lot to take in, and I know like the Google Tag Manager interface is actually quite daunting itself. You know, knowing the difference between variables, tags, triggers. And obviously all the testing, you know, there's so much to remember, so much to take in. But I hope if you're kind of wanting to do this kind of stuff for yourself and be on top of it yourself and be proactive and stuff, then I hope this has helped you. Please leave your comments and any questions. And next week I'm going to be going into Google Search Console, which is where we actually submit your sitemap to Google, where we set it up so that you get notifications if you have any error codes on your website, you know, if any of your pages aren't linked, if they're bringing back 404 errors, you know, broken pages. All of these things are detrimental to your SEO. So yeah, we're going to look over that. I'm going to try and keep it a bit shorter next time. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.